I've been training NBA, NFL guys, and one of the biggest problems is weak tibialis. And once that's fixed, man, a lot of times their knee pain go away. ACL, MCL, meniscus tears are popular, prevalent nowadays because people don't train those tendons behind their knee.
Let's talk about why the sled is such an important piece of equipment.
Will increase your vertical, how you run faster, and most importantly, just to protect your knees.
Strength through length. What does that mean?
A lot of bodybuilders, they kind of walking around kind of bound up because they haven't trained all the way full range of motion. And over time, that compounds having a tight hip, having a knee pain, and kind of creating a lot of misalignment within the body.
Today's guest is Derek Williams, AKA Mr. Infinity. And he's a former professional athlete, author, and the founder of the fastest growing fitness and lifestyle brand on the planet. Known for blending physical mastery, elite mindset, and practical wisdom. At 47, he's more shredded, powerful, and present than ever, and he's just getting started. Your level of fitness, what you're able to do at nearing 50 years old is, as you know, is very unusual in our culture today.
Yeah, true.
And so this is why I'm so excited to have you here. Can you share some of your secrets to your longevity, to your performance, to your fitness? Again, nearing 50 years old, what are some of your secrets to longevity?
Your body is just kind of like a representative of your level of awareness, man. I feel like everybody's like operating at their own level of awareness. And I feel like there's so much noise in the fitness and health and the bodybuilding space that people aren't really talking enough about consciousness and awareness in terms of the as above below principle with fitness and health. So I feel like I like to start there. And I rarely talk about like diet and nutrition and like, cause if you're not at a certain level of awareness, you'll think I'm probably nuts. Like, you know what I'm saying? So just on some practical things, just being consistent. And I feel like that's one thing that has helped me out. Like I've always desired to be in shape. I never wanted to let myself get out of shape. You know, I feel like just having that desire to understanding that, man, your health is really your wealth. Like only now exists. And I don't care if it's 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now in so-called man-made time. Now it's coming. You know what I'm saying? So in my mind, I want to feel good. So I feel like that's number one, is just I have that desire to be like, just want to be in shape. And then two is just like listening to, my main thing is like I told my sons, never listen to anyone in any field that's not experiencing the results you want to produce. And I've always only listened to people that are experiencing the results I want to produce.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how me and Ben got together, Knees Over Toes guy. That's how like I listened to my buddies in Indianapolis, Nuri Muhammad. He kind of taught me about nutrition, how to eat properly, and like different people. I only listen to people that are experiencing the results I want to produce. So I think that's number two. And then obviously, man, you can't get around discipline. So I feel like that's but I don't think it's a big secret, man. I feel like everybody deep down knows that what they need to do.
Yeah, for sure. That's the thing. We know, but like you said, you know, in our culture today, it's, as I kick this off with, it's unusual to be as fit and healthy as you are right now, unfortunately. But this doesn't have to be this way.
There you go.
And it's having these examples, and it's like only listening to people. I've been sharing this for years as well, something very similar, that have the results that you want to have, right? And of course, you can learn from other, right? And I think both of us are very good at learning what not to do from our environment and from certain people. Yeah. But who are your role models for longevity, for fitness? And so some of the people that I've intentionally put in my life are people like Mark Sisson, right? Over 70, incredibly fit. One of my close friends and mentors. Most of my friends, my close friends, and my son is here in the studio, he knows this as well. They're much older than me, you know, oftentimes decades older than me. You know, Michael Beckwith is another one of those people.
Wow.
Role model, mentor. He's about that life when it comes to his fitness and his health and his mindset. And you mentioned the tenet, as above, so below, and starting with the mindset and the belief system that makes all of this automatic. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm a big reader, man. One of my favorite books is the Kabbalion. You know what I mean? The as above, so below principle is like law of correspondence. Is like everything is everything. Like, you know, so as above, so below, meaning like we have our physical body, right? Which is really just a very small part of who we really are. You know what I mean? Then you got your mind, and you got your spirit, and you got different levels. And so everything is everything. And so I feel like you have to be addressing everything too. Like a lot of times like I said, in the nutrition and the fitness space, there's so much money when it comes to supplements, when it comes to gym. You know what I mean? Gyms are just popping up everywhere because they know that people really think that jumping on a treadmill or lifting some weights will get them shredded, you know, but it's so much. I don't feel like there's not enough emphasis on the unseen, you know what I mean? Because the unseen creates the scene, you know what I mean? And so that's kind of where I spend a lot of time there, you know what I'm saying, to be honest with you. Yeah. And I feel like the more time I spend working on my mind, consciousness, reading, like meditation, whatever, I feel like your body's just gonna be a byproduct of it. You know?
That's powerful. Yeah. So feeding yourself spiritually, mentally.
Yeah. And I'm not perfect, bro. I got a long way to go. Like, you know what I mean? That's why I say, like, I know I got a lot more in the tank. Like, you know what I'm saying?
For sure. But, like, you could see it. You could see it as well.
Yeah, appreciate it.
And so with that being said, you mentioned, all of the gyms that are popping up all over the place, which is great. It's great to have more of that emerging in culture, maybe a little bit less fast food, but the system itself is oftentimes, as you said that the fitness industry is broken, right? So let's talk about some of the things that's going on with the fitness industry that are kind of, I guess, maybe gatekeeping or preventing people from getting the results that they want. Why do you think that the fitness industry is broken?
I think it's people just, it's a lot of ego, man. It's a lot of ego, and it's a lot of quick fixes. It's a lot of just 5-minute abs type energy, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? And just kind of to backtrack, one of the things that has allowed me to get healthy more on a practical level, instead of me always going woo-woo, is learning how to train properly. And one thing that I've learned over the past maybe 7 years, man, when I turned 40, I really understood, man, that you got to get strong. Like, yoga is one thing, having flexibility and being flexible and picking your leg over your head, but then being strong and being like having that physical muscle mass is important too. But I found a way to kind of combine the two, man, and I call it strength through length or range of motion. And combining those two has allowed me to, man, feel good. Like, when I was in my mid-30s, man, I was having all kind of knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain. And then when I learned how to train properly, I started jumping higher, feel good. I literally can wake out of my bed and run and dunk, so I feel like practically learning how to train like strength through length and training properly, training from the ground up, training your feet, training your joints, understanding synovial fluid, I feel like that. And it's not necessarily so much for aesthetic. And I feel like social media has played a huge part in having people see, like, man, I want to, this, it's so much. And I'm in the culture. So I see there's so much drugs in it. There's so much like testosterone, which is not bad, but I feel like it's overdone right now. And in art, when we was coming up, it was taboo to be like shooting your butt up with whatever, like, you know what I mean? But now it's like, these kids are like,
right,
I'm doing Anavar and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And it's like, bro, it's side effects of this stuff, man.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's social media, there's so much money in it too. And when, when you got money and you got the ego and the money, then the fitness industry is just, it's a show.
Yeah, man, I didn't know you was gonna bring that up, but I'm glad that you did, because I think also from our perspective and our generation also is like more so maximizing what you have first, right? Are you even doing the things necessary just to, you know what I mean? Like, you're creating all these hormonal changes in your bodies and potential dependencies and, all kinds of potential issues, and you haven't even done the basics on, maximizing what you already have. And so that's the thing about it too. And talking with you as well, I can already see, like, you already know we all have so much potential, just like right there in us already. And it's just being more intelligent, with programming, with training, and with principles, with the mindset. And we're going to talk about all this today, guys. So let's go back. You mentioned strength through length.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So strength through length is a word I kind of coined, that like you get strength through a full range of motion. So like, instead of doing like a basic exercise where you're not getting your full range of motion and your full flexibility and getting strong through the fullest range of motion possible, then you limiting yourself long term. And then, like a lot of bodybuilders, they kind of walking around kind of bound up because they haven't trained all the way full range of motion. And over time, that compounds to having a tight hip, having a knee pain, and kind of creating a lot of misalignment within the body. So like I said, it's like yoga with weights, or like really, really getting the fullest range of motion out of your hip flexors, out of your quads, or out of, you know what I mean? So it's getting the deepest possible while you're lifting. And you can do that with every muscle for your chest, your quads, your tibialis, and it's a lot of muscles that I didn't train growing up for as far as my tibialis, for as like a lot of different muscles, my hip flexors that affected me that I didn't know were affecting me. Yeah. So it's really strength and length is just training for the fullest range of motion possible, all your lifts.
Yeah. Let's talk about the tibialis a little bit more, training that, why it's important. Okay. What is it, first of all?
So tibialis is muscle like right in front. It's like opposite your calf muscles. Your calf muscle, people do toe raises all day or jump rope, but your tibialis, it really is your first line of defense when you're running, when you're jumping, when you're walking, when you're jogging. So it's the muscle right in front of your calf, in the front of your leg, which a lot of people don't train, And so a lot of people have, if you're running over time, if you're pounding the pavement and you don't train your tibialis, then you're gonna have a lot of impact going to your knee, And so that's one of the ways that I got my knees back healthy. I used to have severe tendonitis. So training your tibialis is uber important for runners or fighters or athletes, But and it's a simple fix too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it just seems logical to have some balance, right? Because it's like just training your back all the time and not training your chest.
There you go.
Right, and so you could really create some muscle imbalances, and so the calf, tibialis. So how do we train the tibialis?
So we sell a bar, man. You put a bar on your foot and you kind of let it go down, get a full range of motion, and you come all the way up. Or somebody can just stand against the wall, lean back, and kind of just pick your feet up. So even right now, if we can just kind of sit and you can just kind of go and just squeeze and just kind of come up and just kind of squeeze. But you're like standing up, having your back against the wall, that's the easiest way to just wake up, train your tibialis. You know what I mean? Or if you use a bar. In some gyms, it's getting more popular. So some gyms have sit-down machines where you can put some weights on, and then train that muscle. But it's, like you said, we was growing up, you see calf machines in every gym.
Right.
And now you're starting to see more tibialis machines. And it's gonna save so many knees. Mm-hmm. Just doing that specific exercise will protect your knees, give you another 20 years on your knees.
That sounds so good. That sounds so good.
It's a lot of runners, man. I think running is not, it's more damaging, I feel like, unless you really have your body primed for running specifically,
Yeah. And this is one that everybody that's listening to this episode, this is one to see the video. So make sure to pop over to YouTube. You can see examples of all the stuff that we're talking about. Even at my house, and this was on the encouragement of you before I even met you, and also Ben Patrick Knees Over Toes guy. And I found out about you guys, by the way. I was hanging out with Mark Bell and Nsima and Andrew up in NorCal.
Yeah.
And they were just so, and I brought Jordan was with me, my son who's here at the studio today. He was with me as well, and had us doing all this sled stuff. I'm like, why you guys going so hard with this sled? They
put you through it, huh?
Man, like no mercy, bro. Like I was like, I did a certain weight, a certain amount of plates, on the back pedal. Mark came on that last set, threw another plate on. Like while I was trying to get to the finish line, he threw another plate on there, man.
That's Mark for you,
yeah, man.
What are you doing? What the hell's wrong with you, man? Recovery walk back. Okay. It's not okay. Oh, man. I just flew in for this shit, man.
I never wanted to punch somebody during the workout, but they're just incredible guys. And I brought that back with me. I'm like, I got to get a sled. I got to train. Because I've been on the sled since somewhere almost 10 years.
Wow.
Back at the gym that we used to go to, I'd be probably the only guy in the gym who's pushing this sled all crazy in the middle of the gym. And it was one that you got to turn around and come back. So I fly through, put the plates on there, turn around, come back. Yeah. But I didn't have the backwards pedal. And also, of course, football, we had the sled that we push, hitting up against that bad boy. But I mean, actually like practically using the sled, and it was probably every other week I'd use it.
Yeah.
But now it's like a consistent weekly part of my routine, most times twice a week.
Wow.
You know, and I mean, I just love it. Obviously, it's just unlocked so much. And it just what it allows you to do, the explosiveness, and just there's so many capacities to it. We're going to talk about the sled in one moment, but I want to mention this. We have a tib bar that I found out about because of you guys. And so it's a bar. I just got it off of Amazon.
Okay.
And we put weight plates on it, and I could do tib raises, you know, using that. There's a bunch of different ways to do it.
So really, man, like a simple way people can do it, just put your foot up on the foam roller or put your foot up on the bench and have that plate and just make sure you're getting full range of motion, getting a deep stretch, and then kind of try to explode up and squeeze at the top, you know. And like I said, that alone will increase your vertical, how you run faster, and most importantly, just to protect your knees. Because I've seen, man, I've been training NBA, NFL guys, and one of the biggest problems is weak tibialis. And once that's fixed, man, a lot of times their knee pain go away, they rebalance themselves, they get faster, they're more explosive, and it's just like a simple fix.
Yeah. Man, I'm so grateful to know you guys, because this is stuff that I was doing, I felt kind of by myself, you know, back in the day. So when we lived in Ferguson, Florissant, there was a Gold's Gym, and I go there and I put the hand grip, you know, attachment to the universal gym. I get a flat bench, put my leg up, and put the grip, you know, the handle around my foot, and then do tib raises, single leg tib raises, you know, using a weight stack.
You were doing this before?
I was doing that. I was doing glute ham.
No.
I was doing glute ham by putting my legs into the seat for the lat pull down.
No.
And I used that pad to like anchor my feet, and I was doing I got
Nordics.
video doing this
Nordics.
stuff.
You gotta send me this stuff, man.
Crazy, crazy.
So you was ahead of your time,
man. Come on now.
Seriously.
But then, you know, once I moved here to LA, like just kind of being disconnected from certain things, the access was different. But I picked up other things, right? So now again, I'm really focused on the sled, and it's thanks to your inspiration by way of, again, of marking those guys. But it's really rooted in something that you've been, I mean, if there's anybody on earth right now who's behind the popularization of the sled, is you. And that's real talk. So let's talk about directly from the source why the sled is such a important piece of equipment.
It's funny, man. Like I said, I was 39, 40, and then me and Ben, these other toes guys, we got together and we was like, man, we started studying this, my biomechanics of the body, obviously. And then it was a guy named Charles Poliquin that kind of our mentor, I learned a lot from. And Ben had a gym in Clearwater, ATG. And so we started to work together. And then we had a sled lane. And like I said, when I kind of first got into it, man, I had a lot of like imbalances, a lot of knee pain, a lot of hip pain. And so every night I used to go by myself and just work on the sled. And I just saw my body just change. And so I was just so consistent with it. And so from that, and there's so many ways to use the sled. And obviously when you're getting older, you want to make sure you peaking your hormones out. So I got my hormones tested and got them tested. And just doing the sled alone, obviously getting sunlight, had changed those numbers too. And I was like, man, there's something to this sled. And so I just started getting consistent. And we started doing protocols for a lot of athletes. We had some NBA guys, NFL guys, and we had just a lot of like indoor, outdoor. And we just saw the effects that it was having on myself, being other people around us. And we was like, man, this is a really efficient tool that it's not going to cost you thousands of dollars. And it's not as high impact on your body like running or like treadmill or like some of these other things. It's low impact. You can get a hormone boost. It's great for a total body workout. You build from the ground up. You're training your ankles, your feet, your tibialis, your quads. So it's a ground up workout. And all in all, I feel like I didn't know what I was doing when I first started doing, but after years and years, we were able to see the importance of utilizing that sled, man. Like, awesome. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. So everybody that's watching the video can see examples, but for those that are listening, can you illustrate what you mean specifically by a sled? Like what does that look like? And also, what are some of the different exercises that you want to do with the sled?
So one thing that we really popularized was going backwards on the sled. You know what I mean? I have actually was selling a sled belt. So a sled is like a metal piece where you have, most of the time it's like a square metal piece where you can put weights on top, and you have 2 poles, or sometimes it's 4 poles, and you can push the sled, put your head in or extend those arms out and push the sleds and making sure you knees over toes, making sure your knees is over that toe, and you're really driving as you drive that knee up, extending that leg all the way out. That's a good way to use it. A lot of times we use it, we push down, and then we got a belt where we going backwards. And when you're going backwards, you want to really focus on still getting your knee over your toe, that heel up, and then following through your heel. So you really want to follow through and contract that quad, which is your quad every time, with your VMO, your vastus medialis oblique. So that's the muscle that protects your knees. So that's another thing I didn't mention, that training that VMO with the sled, that's another thing that really protects your knees. If you watch any great athlete, they have a strong VMO muscle, right? Anybody that has a high vertical, they got a strong sculpted VMO muscle. So that's another exercise that protects your knees, great for your knees. If we had athletes that come in there that had knee pain, we always, do 20 minutes on backward sleds. We said, that was the initial. So that's a metal piece. You push, you can pull. What I do right now is I set a timer and put my body weight on the sled, and I do each minute on, I call it an EMOM, each minute on a minute, and do down and back for like 30 reps. Yeah, I'm going 50 yards.
Down and back.
Down and back, 50 yards, boom, going intense. I try to get back in like 35 seconds. Time goes in, boom, down and back, 30 seconds. So that's kind of like my cardio conditioning type of workout.
Amazing, amazing. I see my son shaking his head over there. You know, he just trained my youngest son, who's 13, on a sled. Okay. Was that yesterday? Yeah, my son he came in, he was like, he was cooked. He was cooked. He had him doing the push and pull. It's about 50 yards, 50 yards back and forth, and then kind of like some interval rests, and then doing it again. He said, I did 6. He came in, because I usually have him do like 4 or 3 or 4. Yeah. And he was like, he had me do 6. Yeah.
And so this is at the house?
Yeah. Okay. And so this is another thing to illustrate. So that metal bar can be on, I guess, a type of turf or a certain type of carpet. That's where people can push it. Yeah,
usually on the turf. Sometimes people get like little skis. If you want to do it outside, you can do it like that. And then there's so many, man. We really have popularized the sled, man. So it's so many different versions. Like you have the tank, it sounds like.
Yeah, with the wheels. So it has actual wheels on it.
So I guess you can get a tank sled now. And then they're even making, like Ben has a backwards treadmill that you can use for if you just want to have something in your house, some stationary, or in like gyms, usually on the turf. So it's definitely, most I like it on the turf, old school, metal, push, pull, go hard. And another way I really like to use it is, I call it HASD, man, heavy ass sled drives, where you put as much weight as you really can handle. Sometimes I get up to 1,000 pounds and just drive. And you really want to like stoke your metabolism or stoke your hormones. That's a really good way to utilize the sled.
That's powerful.
Even if you go like 20 yards, just you know what I mean? That's a really total body workout.
And this is the thing about it too, is that you're getting that anabolic stimulus because your body knows that much weight is there, but it's in a design that is so much safer, right? It's so much more functionally safe for a human body to interact with that amount of weight. So you're getting that anabolic stimulus with less risk.
There you go. And most people usually get that anabolic stimulus from putting 500 pounds on their back. You know what I mean? All that pressure in your spine, or deadlift, and a lot of pressure on your back. And the sled, if you can't move it, you can't move it. It's not going to crush you, So it's a lot, I like the way you said that, man. It's a lot safer. You know what I mean? Especially as I'm, like I said, near 50. I don't want to be squatting 500 pounds. You know what I mean? Not that I could anyway.
But it's just, even keeping in mind, like, some of the things that humans, we've come up, we're creative, we're very smart, and we figured out all kinds of incredible things the human body can do. But there are a few things that we are designed to do, all right? Walking is obviously one. Sprinting is obviously one. Pushing and pulling things, in that movement of with using our gait is something that humans have been doing forever, dragging things, pushing things. And so, but putting a bar with 500 pounds on the back, that's, not so much, but we can do that and we can get some great benefit from it. So it's just like, especially if they got their eyes on longevity, it's just like, what have our ancestors done to great benefit? And also working with our particular mechanics and thinking about this concept you already shared with everybody, which is strength through length, right? And so another one of those that we mentioned a little bit were the Nordics, right? So talk about, what is that?
So the Nordics is another exercise we kind of popularized. So it's for, and I always like to talk about the injury prevention side of it, because a lot of times it's not, the way we train is not necessarily so for aesthetics or like popping your veins, but the Nordic is like your 13-year-old son should start doing these, even just the resistance, the eccentrics of it.
Right.
But it's great for the ligaments and tendons behind your knee. And so a lot of times ACL, MCL, meniscus tears are popular, prevalent nowadays, especially in girls, soccer, volleyball, basketball, because people don't train those ligaments and tendons behind the knee. And so the Nordic, what it does is, it's great for athleticism, but the most important thing it does is trains those ligaments and tendons behind the knee to protect those knees from having those ACL, MCL, LCL tears. And so if you resist coming down, obviously you strengthen your hamstrings, strengthen those ligaments and tendons behind that knee, and you either explode up or just kind of push yourself up, And so a lot of people are intimidated by it because they see me or Ben or other people do it. And it's really just, if you just resist yourself coming down and push yourself up, that's really all you need. You don't even
describe
need
it. Describe it a little bit more.
So
how to do it?
So you put your feet in a contraption, man, called a Nordic machine, or sometimes if you don't have a Nordic, you can use a glute ham, or even the old school way you were doing it behind like that lat pull machine. And you put your feet in, and you want to kind of keep those hips forward as much as possible, and trying to keep your body straight, and just kind of resist yourself coming down.
So you anchor your feet, and you're on your knees.
On your knees.
Right. So you're anchoring your feet, you're on your knees, and you're upright, and then you're going to.
Perfect. Yeah. You anchor your knees down, you're upright, and you resist yourself coming down. A lot of times people kind of come here. You want to kind of keep those hips forward and resist coming down as much as you can. And then if you can, explode up. But if you can't, just kind of push yourself up. And what that's doing is really, really strengthening those ligaments and tendons behind that knee that is designed to protect your knees from all these ligament tears. So that's key. That's key. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. And it's also called glute ham, right?
Glute ham's a little different. Nordic is more strict. It's more of a strict exercise. Specifically, glute ham is like more of a glute ham raise for your glutes and your hamstrings. But this is specifically for 1 foot jumping. If anybody's watching, they want to be a track athlete or be faster or jump higher off the one leg, Nordics are great for that. And specifically designed to really strengthen those ligaments and tendons.
So the glute ham, would that be like a different position?
So yeah, because a lot of times people see those glute ham machines in Goals or in an LA Fitness, and that's a little. It allows for more momentum, and it allows for a little more. It's just not as strict for those knees. Yeah.
So this would be more activation of the glutes and hamstrings not doing it a strict Nordic.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. But I mean, people can use that glute ham machine and really, if they want to be strict about it. But a lot of times, the glute hamstring, you don't have that. You don't have a surface. You know what I mean? If you don't have a surface, then you can just kind of like
that
go all the way down and kind of come all the way up, and it's not really isolating those ligaments and tendons. You know what I mean? So it's a little different.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, so just to circle back to this idea and this awareness that the fitness industry is broken, right? And so what I got from what you shared earlier is just the programming, the focus is disoriented or dysfunctional, is looking at the human body more mechanistically and not holistically. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I mean, you said it. I couldn't have said it any better, man. It's more 3D. You know, it's very 3D. It's very physical. It's very materialistic. It's very just capitalistic. You know, and I feel like that's people get into it because they want to look good. Yeah, they want to feel good, but so much noise going around it is so capitalistic. You have to sift through all. And that's why I say never listen to anyone in any field that's not experiencing the results you want to produce, because you can go down some real serious rabbit holes, you know, and a lot of people never come out. A lot of people get in this bodybuilding culture or all these cultures and get stuck, man. Like, you know, because it's money. It's a lot of money in that stuff, man. So, and awareness is everything. Awareness is everything. But yeah, man, yeah. And I don't know if broken is a word. Obviously, each individual is responsible for their own reality. But I just don't feel like we need. And let me ask you, man, do you see it as the fitness industry? How do you see the fitness industry? Do you see it as a broken industry or just as a collective? Like how would you say it? Because you the pioneer, man. You've been doing this for a minute.
Yeah, man.
You the GOAT.
Thank you, man. But I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of trends, you know, and right now I just think it's very superficial. That's what I see predominantly. But at the same time, there are emerging cultures of people who are basing this on community, on support, and growing in that domain as well. So I think that there's energies that are at odds with each other.
There you go.
But what I'm excited and happy about is that people are training. All right. There's a much bigger fitness culture that we have right now.
That's a good point. And
I think that, you know, if anything is whatever side you're on, even if it's with the superficial, you know, you got the tripod at the gym all the time recording, do your best to be inclusive, to get more people involved and finding their own, you know, path, their own dharma with the fitness, right? Because, you know, today more than ever, man, like there's a lot of stuff, as you were sharing, like there's a lot of different obstacles and things that can hook people. And that's partly your story too. You know, like you've overcome a lot to have the impact that you're having and living the life and have the health that you have right now. Yeah. So this is a perfect opportunity. If you could, can you share, how did you get into all this in the first place? Like, how did you get into the field of health and wellness?
Yeah. I've been an athlete my entire life, man. I played high school basketball, college basketball. I played pro basketball for a little bit. And so I've been in the fitness, you know, and I always like just enjoyed it. You know, I feel like everybody tends to lean to do more of what they enjoy. So I just enjoyed it. I enjoyed learning about it, studying. And I remember the first book I kind of read that kind of opened my eyes to a lot of it was Kevin Trudeau's Natural Cures. They don't want you to know about, you know. And once I read that, I was like, man, it's a lot of stuff going on that we are unaware of.
I ordered that book in Ferguson.
Did you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Off the commercial.
Woke you up a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so I was like, man. And so I kind of really, I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana. So when I was overseas in Norway, I got certified to teach Pilates and yoga. And so when I came back to Indianapolis, I opened like a Pilates studio. And so I was training a lot of like NBA athletes, their wives. So I was just kind of like in that culture. And so I did that. It was a good business. I had a company called One Life. I had sportswear and like, so, but then long story short, man, I had some kids and kind of turmoil brought me to Florida. And I was ended up being a PE teacher. And for a couple of years, but teaching just wasn't for me. And me and Ben, knees over toes guy, he was young. You know what I mean? We ran into each other playing basketball. I was a basketball player. He was a up and coming basketball player. And you know when you meet somebody and you kind of like, there's kind of a spark. You just know it's something.
Yeah.
You know? And so we met, we talked, and then a couple of years later, he called me. He's like, man, I'm doing this something called ATG. I've been studying under Charles Poliquin. I feel like you come with your connections, I feel like me and we can really do something here. And so I moved to Clearwater, and we really just started one day at a time. We was 7 days a week, man, grinding, learning, studying, came up with like these exercises in Nordic. I had something called a Nordic strap. So most people don't have a Nordic bench, so they was using my strap to strap their feet in to do these Nordics, the tib bar. So we came up with a lot of different contraptions so people could do these exercises. A lot of my NBA guys came and trained with us, and so we just continually to build that culture up. So that's kind of the story, man. I'm always into fitness. Met my dude, Ben. Ben had all the resources and the gym and the capital, and we kind of just went all in on really building that ATG brand up, you know. So, and I still feel like it's making an impact, but I feel like it's still a long way to go in terms of people having that awareness of really how to train their body properly and understanding strength through length, you know. I mean, it's making a wave, and there's a lot of copies of Ben right now. You probably see it all over the internet. People like talking about it, but yeah, man, that's my story anyway. For as how I kind of, you know, and I still hoop, man. I got 2 sons. My youngest son, we compete. You know what I mean? My sons, we compete. 22 and 19, and my youngest son's a basketball player. My older son's a football player. So, you know, I got to stay in shape for them. You know what I'm saying?
That part. Thank you for mentioning that part at the end too, is like anchoring yourself to something. We've been talking about that a lot as well, because we all need something to keep us motivated, right? And it's being honest about what that is for you, you know. It could be to be strong enough to, you know, provide for your family, or to help a movement that you're trying to do, or to be there, you know, to make sure that you're there at your grandkid's wedding, or to be able to compete with your sons. You know what I mean? Like, I love that. It's such a valuable and happy part of my life, you know. And my oldest son over there, he knows, like, me and my youngest son, especially, we're very chippy with each other.
Oh yeah, the youngest one's the one, man. They the ones, bro. Me and my oldest son, we but
same.
them younger boys, they trying to get you early.
Yes.
Is he going? Are you playing right now?
He
playing one-on-one?
He always challenging me, man. He always challenging me. He's like, Dad, you can't. Yeah, man. He's pushing those buttons, you know. And of course, I'm like, I'm still beating him, but it's just like,
coming up.
I see it. I see it.
Yeah.
But it's amazing, man. And you know, your story is incredible. You know, like you coming from the Midwest as well. You know, and that's what immediately, as soon as I heard your voice, I'm like, oh, I know him. You know what I mean?
Facts.
And you know, but you mentioned in that transition, coming home, identity shifts a bit. You know, playing professional sports to now running a business, and now making that move to Florida as well. You hopped over, like there's some turbulence, some difficulties in that move. And a lot of people don't know this and know this part about your story, but there was a time period when you were in Florida that you were sleeping in your car. Is that right?
That's true. Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
I was playing ball, and then when I came back to Indy, my son's mother had drove my sons to move to Florida. And I was like, man, I wasn't raised with a father, man. And I know I still struggle with a lot of identity from not having a father, you know? And so I just didn't want my sons to kind of, that generational cycle to continue, you know? And so I just came out here. I didn't know nobody. I was just like, man, I just wanted to be around my sons, you know? And if anybody went through like a battle with their son's mother, you know how that goes, man. She wouldn't let me see him, and I had to go through all that type of drama, you know. But which shapes you, you know what I mean? I'll be the last one to play victim, you know what I mean? I'll take responsibility for my reality, but it was a lot of challenges that went through that, you know what I mean? That builds you as a person and builds a lot of like character and resilience in you, I feel like. But that's probably, and me and you talked off air, man. When you wake up to how reality is, man, you're going to go through a lot of challenges and changes, you know. That's just what happens, you know. So that was just an experience that forced me to grow up, forced me to learn about survival, learn about, you know what I mean, how to really fight for what I really wanted to do. So yeah, I was in my car, man, 6 months to a year, just trying to figure it out, you know what I mean? But like another thing you said, man, when you go through that, there's an opposite reaction, man, that's just as good as a struggle. You know what I mean? A lot of times I've been so blessed for going through that fire. You know what I mean? I didn't run from it. You know, I sat in it, and I was like, man, if I die, I die. Or if I don't make it, I don't make it. But I'm going to set out to accomplish that, to raise my kids, man. Now, my youngest son, we fly out tomorrow to go for a D1 tryout. And then my oldest son's playing football. He got a Division I scholarship for college. So all that to say, man, like, challenges gonna come.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you gotta, and especially as you wake up to reality and how, I hate to say it, man, 95% of what we've been programmed with is just BS, man, or lies. You know what I mean? So when you waking up to that and you dealing with this so it's just like, you know what I mean? And I know you understand what I'm saying.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I know that your kids' lives would be dramatically different had you not moved and sacrificed and did everything that you can do to be in their life.
Yeah.
You know?
And then they kids, and then they kids, and then they kids, and then they kids. You know what I mean? As a minority, man, we dealing with a lot, man. We dealing with a lot of generational, you know what I mean? We don't talk about it a lot, but it's a lot of stuff that we dealing with internally that 7 generations in the past, 7 generations in the future that we sitting with like right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That we got to face.
And your choice to break that pattern was not easy. I mean, it was the opposite of easy. It caused a lot of strife. It was so many people would have thrown in the towel. You know what I'm saying?
I wanted to, don't get me wrong.
I'm saying, like, for you to decide, like, no matter what it takes, I'm gonna sleep in my car. I gotta be by my kids. I gotta do what I can do to be in their life. That kind of love and parenting and willingness to be a good father, even if you didn't know how to be it yet, was gonna lead you down that path and create the life that you have. And so, just like, honestly, man, I just want to give you huge props for that, because
that's love, man.
Yeah, that's like 1 in a billion. But this is the thing about you too, like, you know, we all have this deep inner power within us, but so many of us are just asleep to it, you know. And so once you were awake to that potential, and you also had the mindset, and this is what I want to ask you about next, the mindset of doing whatever it takes. I'm going to do whatever it takes. And so I want to talk about the mindset around longevity. And, you know, you working with some of the, you know, most exceptional athletes in the world, and also everyday folks who just have exceptional levels of health, who've overcome incredible injuries and difficulties and experiencing a great level of health. What are the mindset pieces? What are 3 things about the mindset of longevity, the mindset of the highest performing people, including yourself, that you've had the ability to work with to impact?
That's a good question, man. Like, some of the athletes, man, they just have this, some of like the NFL, NBA, some of the elite athletes, they have a different level of self-belief. It's like, right? It's just like, man, they just, however they was groomed growing up, however they was programmed, they have a different level of self-belief, which allows them to discipline themselves, to because the identity, I feel like it all boils down to how you see yourself, right? Psycho-cybernetics, man. Your how you see yourself shapes everything. And so they see themselves as great. You know, I feel like we all, and in order to really make a shift, your identity has to shift. You know what I mean? And so your identity shifts, I think that's the biggest one. And then secondly is understanding, man, like, and I always, 2 of my taglines are only now exists and win the now. Like, only now exists, win the now. If you stay present and focused, and a lot of times people that exceptional, you can tell they just present and they hear, they're in their body. Like, they're not, you know. So I think that's another one, just be understanding, man, only now exists, and you got to be centered in the now. And then maybe the third one is a little humility, man. Understanding, man, you don't know it all. You know, you don't know what you don't know. You know what I mean? And so I feel like that's a good little combination of the elites. They know, they listen. They, even though they may be millionaires, they come and they listen to me like students. They $100 million contracts. They listen to me like, whatever I say, I'm listening, because you got the results, or you had the results, or you know. So a lot of so those are good ones.
I love that, man. I love that combination of intense self-belief, but but also the humility and the coachability and listening.
Yeah.
Like, you put that together, that's special.
It's crazy, man. Some of these high school or college athletes, they think they know it all. And then you got these $100 million athletes, they coming in, yeah, coach, got you, coach. What you want me to do? And they going hard, they intense, focused. So, and only now exists. So you can tell if you put both of them together at the same time, same space, you could tell which one's gonna go up and which one's gonna stay stagnant or go down. You know what I mean? Because that combination of the intensity, self-belief, identity, being present, like that just, yeah.
Yeah, man, that's powerful. This reminds me of, just being attuned to certain things. Like, everybody listening to this right now, there's a reason that you're here. There's a reason that this is resonating with you at this very moment. Mm. There's something special about you that is attracted to this kind of information and this energy. And what you just shared, those 3 principles, that is so strong for me that I attracted somebody who really illustrated this to me in the biggest way, right? Arguably one of the, if not the greatest athlete, in the NBA, in the history of the NBA, Michael Jordan, having his coach in many conversations that in talking with him, Tim Grover, his personal trainer, and he would share how Michael listened. Michael's the greatest basketball player in the world, right? And he's got a coach. He's listening to Phil Jackson. He's listening to Tim and taking their advice and putting in. And of course, he knows a thing or 10,000 about getting the results. But even Michael Jordan needed a coach, right? And Michael Jordan needed somebody that he can respect and to listen to, even if neither one of these guys could do any of the stuff that he could do, right? But he knows that he doesn't see everything, right? And also having that accountability, having that support, all those things help to feed our spirit. Obviously, we all go through different stages and seasons in our life. And, at this point, again, this conversation is about changing the culture, right? Making it more accessible and normal to be incredibly fit and active and healthy in your 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. We've got examples existing on the planet right now of what's possible, but our culture today is creating an environment to where people are not living longer, they're dying longer. And so what we want to do is provide these models and these examples. So you've actually got these principles and these standards that you talk about. And if you could, can you share some of these standards and give us some advice on some of the things that we need to strive for as people are getting older?
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up, man. I have something called the 20 infinity standards. I have 10 upper body and 10 lower body standards. And this is something I feel like it's something that if you master all these standards, then you're going to be 0.0001 of the population. And something to always strive for. Your body will be in complete alignment. You'll be strong. You'll have grip, feet. Your body will be built from the ground up. And so, for instance, one of the standards, man, is 15 full range of motion pull-ups, 20 full range of motion dips. There's a grip standard with grippers. 10 Nordics is on there. Half your body weight split squat with both hands, full bend, flat ground. So there's a lot of different standards. I feel like me and Ben kind of sat down for like months to put this together as far as to really make the body super bulletproof. If you master these standards, you're 0.0001 of the population, and it's almost impossible for your body to get injured. So I could run through a lot of the standards, but that is just is 20 standards that somebody can always aspire to. Something. And I actually have a poster with all the different standards that somebody can order and say like, all right, these are the standards. Let me make sure I get these 15 pull-ups, these 20 dips, these split squats, these squats, 230 your body weight, 20 reps, VMO squats. Obviously, I said the Nordics. You got the cross bench pullovers. A lot of ATG exercises that are on there that gives you full range of motion, strength through length, building your body from the ground up, addressing all your weak links. And you'll be strong and powerful. And at the end of the day, you're going to look good too.
Yeah.
You're going to be super aesthetic because you got to have a certain body composition and low body fat to do 15 pull-ups or 20 dips, you know?
Yeah.
So
there's this tenet that you're only as strong as your weakest link.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And so like being mindful of those things and understanding if your heart is beating right now, you can improve, right? And so now with some of these standards, somebody might hear, 10 pull-ups, 15 pull-ups, and they're like, what? I can't do one.
Yeah.
So you also have progressions that you teach. And you already said it, have something to aspire to, but there's progressions and there's levels for everybody where everybody can get started. So let's talk about a pull-up progression.
Yeah, so those are the standards, that's something that's the infinity standards. You master those, that's something to shoot for, aspire to for the rest of your life, But there's a gradient for everything. And so with a pull-up, and we have a hang, another one of the standards is a hang there for 2 minutes. Hang at a bar. Have you ever done that?
Of course. Now, I haven't done 2 minutes.
Yeah, so that's one of the standards.
I didn't know it was a thing.
Yeah, I'll send you all the standards. 2 minutes, 2 minute hang. And that's great for your grip. So a pull-up progression will be just hang from a bar. And if you can't hang from a bar, you can sit down. We do one arm pull downs from a pull down machine. Kind of start there. And then once you get there, you hang, and then you can just jump up, resist yourself coming down.
Yeah.
The
negative.
The negative, doing the negative. And then once you feel like you do that, and put a band around your feet, come all the way up, all the way down, all the way up. And then you'll get to a pull-up. And that's with anything in life. There's gradients and there's levels to, like you said, if you can get better. You know what I mean? You still, I know you feel like you got a long way to go, right?
Man.
Yeah, in everything.
Yeah. I wanna go to another level with my pull-ups.
Yeah.
That's one of my goals for this year, so I could do 24.
24 pull-up?
Yeah.
Let's go. That's your goal?
Yeah. No, 30 is my goal.
Okay.
Because I was already, I was at 26.
Yeah.
What is it? About a year and a half ago, before we had a rough year, right? We had a rough year.
Yeah.
And so when I went to do it, I thought, I didn't know what the number was going to be. Once I did my litmus test to see what my goal was, I was like, all right, damn. It's like I got 24. And so my goal is to get to 30.
Okay.
And that's for me. And then also, but by listening to you, it really cemented my goal, because just remembering like that's 0.0000% of the 1% of the population that could do something like that.
Yeah,
in my especially in my age bracket, right? Like that's exceptional.
Yeah, and so in every age bracket.
Leaning into my strengths, but also you're only as strong as your weakest link. So being mindful of those things as well. And I love you mentioned the band, because there's been such a evolution, thankfully, with using bands. There still is. A lot of gyms have like an assisted pull-up machine. Yeah. I really like the bands because they get you to not to control your body.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's what I do with my youngest son, for example. Like he could do a couple of pull-ups on his own, but just so he can get in some reps, we use a band. He puts it around his foot, or you can put it around your knee and get those reps in. And this is something that just about everybody listening can do, is utilizing some bands, or, as you mentioned, some pull down. So using a lat pull down machine, but just progressing. And I think it's very fulfilling and rewarding. I remember my wife, before we moved to LA, she could jump up on, and she started the same way. She was like, she couldn't do a pull up. She couldn't even start to do a pull up. She grabbed the bar and just like, there's nothing happening. Right. And she got to the point where she could literally jump up on that bar and do a pull up. Right. And that happened over the course of a year.
Wow.
Right. And now, of course, she's back now. It's been a tough year. She's working on getting her pull-up game back up. So she's using the bands, doing the negatives, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
And everything is scalable. And it's just like giving yourself something to strive for.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I love that. Is your wife, you and her work out together pretty intense, or what?
She was my gym buddy for a minute, but our schedules, a little bit different. So we work out maybe once a week together.
Okay.
But it's the consistency part. She's found her rhythm. I found my rhythm. And also, we walk together. Like that's another good time.
That's a great workout.
Right. And and I want to ask you about this. So you mentioned grip strength.
Yeah.
Why is that so important?
Your grip strength kind of correlates to a lot, like you said, as above, so below, correlates to like your vitality. As people get old, we've noticed, and there's scientific studies done on this, that their grip gets a lot weaker. And so you can test, by testing your grip, you can tell how much vitality you have over your entire body. If you see anybody that's super strong or super like doing deadlifts and a lot of these exercises, they got a strong grip. And that correlates to like how your overall body, how healthy your overall body is. And so that's another thing people don't really work on or talk about a lot, is just isolating that grip, because that strengthens so much than just your grip. Like you have to be, like I said, it just kind of like corresponds how vital your body is.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one of those like epigenetic
markers.
Because it's like that grip strength translates to so many things in our life. Right. Yeah. Some researchers, a lot of researchers actually have identified this as like a physical marker. Of all the different physical tests, this might be the strongest correlation with how long you're going to live, is your grip strength.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly. So it's really fascinating. So what are some things we could do to work on our grip strength?
So I have, one of the standards is being to hang there for 20 minutes. I mean, I'm sorry, 2 minutes. hang on the bar for 20 minutes. Yeah, but hang there for 2 minutes, which is a challenge, which really works your grip and your forearm strength. Grippers, just regular grippers. And then doing a lot of exercises. I have when you're doing a squat, when you holding these kettlebells or dumbbells, that works in your grip. But yeah, we don't try to overthink it too much. We have all our clients really, we finish it out with grips. Every time somebody finishes an ATG workout or Mr1nf1n1ty workout, you finish with like 3 sets of just grip. You know what I mean? Just to kind of polish it off and make sure that you're addressing that. And over time, the compound interest takes effect. And man, we have guys squeezing 300 pounds now. Yeah, just from starting when they was in high school. Now they got their grip strength. It's like they couldn't do the 50-pound gripper. Now they doing 300 pound. It's pretty crazy. And then you could tell their bodies are just like your son sitting over here, you know, just
choke the mess out.
Yeah.
That grip strength.
Strong. That's and that amazing. Grip, I'm telling you that you don't recognize it, but over time, just training your grip so much, man, it helps you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's great. That's powerful. Something that I love to do also that works on a grip strength at the end of workouts is to do some carries.
Like farmer's carries?
Farmer's carries.
That's good too. Yeah. I wouldn't say that because a lot of people sometimes don't have access to like those. You mean like with dumbbells,
like
or
heavy
with the whole
dumbbells or heavy kettlebells?
Okay, yeah. That's a great for you.
Do the suitcase carry, so you do like one side. You know, like there's all kinds of ways that you can work on your grip strength, and that's the thing. It translates to so many things. Just doing pull-ups, that's working on your grip strength as well, you know? Yeah. So lots of ways, but you are encouraging us. Right.
RDLs, deadlifts, all that stuff is working on your grip.
Yeah.
Really.
But it's just the encouragement for all of us listening and watching to put this into play intentionally for ourselves.
Yeah.
And, you know, you mentioned that you have the standards, the 20 standards. Where can people get more information about that, get access to more information from you, just get more into your world?
Yeah, so I appreciate that, man. Obviously, you can go to my website, Mr1nfinity.com, with the ones, Mr1nf1n1ty. It's funny, the 111, you didn't ask about it, but I couldn't get it with the I's. I got it with the ones. My son's names are 1 and 11, so it was pretty cool that I was able to get that.
Wow. I thought that this was because of your sons. Wow.
No,
I just happened to be that's one of those synchronicities.
Yeah, I didn't come into this to be Mr1nf1n1ty. I was playing basketball with some NBA guys, and I was like 40 at the time. And then one of my friends was like, "Bro, man," and he called me. He's like, "Man, you need to change your name to Mr1nf1n1ty." And I couldn't get it with the I's. I was trying to get it with the I's, and I couldn't get it with the I's, so I got it with the ones, and it was just like it just synced up. But anyway, Mr1nfinity.com. You can got a lot of my programs are on atgonlinecoaching.com. I have an app of my own now. You can find on my website. I have books, ATG for Life. One of my books is Disrupting Fitness. If you want to get more into like my story and kind of where my evolution of just mindset, consciousness, fitness. So yeah, man. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Of course, man. It's my pleasure. And so that's Mr1nfinity. And the I's are ones, number ones.com.
Yeah.
And we'll put all of that for everybody in the show notes as well. And this has just been a real pleasure, man, a real joy. And, you know, even before we met, you inspire certain changes in my life, you know, and this is through other people. And this is the power of what you're doing, is that you never know who you're going to impact, because they're going to impact, you know, maybe it's just for themselves, maybe it's for their family, maybe it's for, you know, other very influential people that can impact millions of lives. And so the work that you're doing is incredibly important and valuable. And I'm grateful that you persevered, you know, through the turbulent times. And I appreciate you, man.
No, and I appreciate you having me on, man. It's a pleasure to meet you, man. I've been one of my big role models a long time, man. I've been watching you, like you said, man, probably when you first started 13 years ago, and you've been inspiring millions. You know what I mean? It's not a lot of people, minorities out here, that's really talking in deep about consciousness and health, and really going to those deeper levels of information, man. So you really serving the people. So I appreciate you, bro. Yeah, it's a full circle moment for me.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. Thank you, man. I received that and grateful for you, man. This has been awesome.
Yeah, no doubt.
Hey, if you like this video, make sure to check out this video right here.
Steady state cardiovascular training as your main fitness outlet is not going to help you in the categories of anti-aging and full body functional fitness. What a ridiculous mistake the running boom has been in many ways, because we've been told that if you